Hello and welcome to Yes, You Are Brave. This is a podcast where we're going to set off on a journey together to find and build our brave, where we explore all the ways that you have been brave and all the ways that you can be brave again. Because even though we may have forgotten or we may have fallen out of practice, we're all brave. And I'm on a mission to prove it and help you believe that yes, you are brave. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Yes, You Are Brave. I'm Pawnee, I'm your host. Let's talk brave. Let's jump right in and talk brave. So today I want to talk about something that has been very much a part of my life the last couple of years. And I want to talk about being brave enough to stop hiding from yourself. So I know that we talk a lot about brave. We talk about a lot of different ways to be brave. And I think one of the things that maybe we should have talked about first, should have been a long time ago, and I'm sure we did to some extent talk about it a while back, but one of the things I want to talk today about is to stop hiding from yourself, to be honest with yourself about who you are and what you want. And I know that sounds like crazy, like, of course I know who I am, Pawnee, and what I want. But do you really? When's the last time you sat down with yourself and you really spent some time getting to know what you want, who you are now, and what you want now? Because that is probably different from who you used to be and what you used to want. So the first thing, I have a couple questions for you. This is a very reflective episode, and I don't have a lot of straight up answers for you, but I do have some questions to ask yourself so that you can know, is this something that I need to work on, or how do I actually start being honest with myself, and so that I can stop hiding from me. That's the crazy thing. A lot of times we're hiding from other people, but are you actually hiding from yourself? This episode really comes from me realizing very, very recently that I was hiding. And a lot of it was I was just not being honest with myself about who I was and what I wanted. So that's where this is coming from, a place of love. I hope that you don't have to go through that as well. So let's start with some questions that I have for you that are going to help you find yourself, help you realize where you are and what you want. So first of all, first question that I have is, what do you want? What do you want in life? And let's be honest. Let's be honest about what you want. Okay? What do you want? Who do you want to be? Let's start thinking about those questions. What do you want and who do you want to be? Are you the person that you want to be? I would say that most of us are probably not the person, not exactly who we want to be. We're not quite there yet. We've still got some work to do, but we are on the road to who we want to be. So, are you being honest about what you want? This can be a tricky question because I have found, especially recently, that there are things that I thought I wanted, and then I realized maybe I didn't want them. So, if you're not being honest about what you want, and maybe you don't realize it, maybe this is not intentional, and that's totally fine if it's not intentional. Ways you can kind of figure that out is, do you ever feel like you're being torn in half? For me, that has been one of the biggest things. There around certain topics or certain things that I think I wanted or that I thought I wanted. I just felt like I was always being torn in half by it. Every time that came up, every time that came to mind, it just felt like I was being pulled in two completely different directions. And it wasn't until I stopped and was like, okay, maybe this isn't actually what I want. Maybe I really need to stop. What I really needed to do was stop and ask myself the question, is this something that I actually want? Like right here, right now, is this something that I want? And it took a lot of time and effort to find that answer. The next question to kind of help you realize, am I being honest with myself, is what are the things that are causing you guilt and or shame? Maybe there is something in your life that you just can't help but feel guilty. You're always feeling guilty about. You're always feeling like you can't talk to somebody about it. You can't bring it out into the open. There's something that is causing you guilt and shame. Maybe that is something that you are not being honest with yourself about, or maybe you haven't really figured out how you feel about it, Or maybe you just haven't admitted how you feel about it to yourself or to other people. And I know that this sounds super vague, and I am being a little bit vague on purpose, but what are the things that like you feel like you can't talk to other people about? What are the things, and have you, and I realize that there are things that it's difficult to talk to other people about. It's difficult to talk to them about because it doesn't fit in a prescribed norm. It doesn't fit in a box that either we think it should fit in or that people around us think it should fit in, or the culture that we grew up in, it doesn't fit into that box. But the first step is you got to be honest with yourself about it. And those are some things, if you're feeling guilty about them, if you're feeling like you can't talk to other people about them, maybe that's where you start. Maybe those are some things that you need to look into and say, okay, is this something that do I know how I feel about this? And is the guilt and the shame that you're feeling about it, is it because you're not really being honest with yourself about it? Are you still trying to live up to somebody else's expectations? And I think that that's it a lot of times is, okay, we grow up with these expectations, societal, cultural, religious, familial, whatever they are, and we have a hard time letting go of those because we think that's how we should feel. We think that's how we should feel. We think that's how we should act. We think that's what we're supposed to want. And then we realize later down the road, sometimes because we don't get those things, or because life just throws you crazy curves, you have to acknowledge at some point that maybe that's not what you want. Maybe that's not the dream that you have. It's just a dream that you inherited from somebody else. And you haven't really been honest with yourself about, is this what I actually want? Will this make me happy? Along those lines, are there dreams that might need to be put on or taken off the shelf? And I know this is going to seem weird and it sounds funny, but sometimes we have to put our dreams on the shelf, right? There are some things that in our lives that for whatever reason, we have to put those dreams aside for a period of time. And sometimes we get to take them back off the shelf and sometimes we don't. Now, this is also something that I talk a lot about in the book that I'm writing about putting dreams on the shelf, taking them off, things like that. Sometimes it hurts too bad to hold on to dreams, hold on really tight to dreams that are just not happening, especially if they're dreams that involve other people and we have no control over them. So sometimes it's better for us if we stop holding so tight to them and the expectations. Again, last week we talked about expectations, right? The expectations or the pressures of having those dreams come true, maybe it's better if we put them on a shelf. I'm going to use the example of getting married, having a family, because I feel like it is easy to see that, right? Sometimes people hold on so tightly to that dream that they end up in situations that they don't actually want to be in, or they end up doing things, staying in relationships far too long because they just have to see that dream come true, and it ends up being a terrible situation. I know in my own personal life, I have had to take that dream and put it in a box and put it on a shelf. I didn't burn it. I didn't get rid of it. I just had to stop holding on to it so tight because it was just causing struggles and causing pain. The other thing I want to say around this is it's okay for your plans or your dreams and what you want to change. It really is. And I also want to pose a question for you is, are you allowing them to change? Are you allowing yourself to grow and evolve and become somebody else? So the plans that you had for your life when you were a teenager or in your 20s or in your 30s or whatever the case may be, is that still what you want? If it's not, it's okay because you don't have to stay the same. You can allow yourself to grow and to evolve and to change. You don't have to stay the same person. Just because you were doesn't mean you are. I'm going to say that again. Just because you were doesn't mean you are. You don't have to be what you have always been. And you don't have to do what you've always done. Okay? Let's think about that for a moment. You don't have to do what you've always been or be who you've always been. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to decide that this dream or this goal, not really what I want anymore. Okay, it's just not. And that's okay. That's okay to change your mind. I've struggled with this for a long time of like, oh, what do I want? And all these things. And I was talking to a therapist one time about it, and she said, it doesn't matter. She says, what you want can change. It's what you want. She said, it can change. It can change from day to day. It's fine. So are you allowing yourself to change? Now, if it stays the same, that's great. But it doesn't have to stay the same just because you decided that was what your life was going to look like however many years ago. You don't have to stick to that picture, that script, that plan if it's not what you want anymore. The other question I have along those lines of change and stuff like that is, are you holding on to who you were because it makes other people happy? Are you not allowing yourself to change because you're afraid of what other people are going to think of you when you change? Be honest with yourself. You don't have to be honest with me, but you do need to be honest with yourself. Are you staying the same so that other people will be happy or comfortable with who you are? I also, along these things, I want to give you permission to stop worrying and stop letting their opinions control your life, your decisions, and your dreams. You don't need my permission. You don't. But I'm going to give it to you anyway, because sometimes when somebody else gives us permission to do something, it clicks in our brain that it's okay, and we can actually start doing that. So I'm giving you permission to stop worrying and stop letting their opinions and what they think you need to be control your life or your decisions or whatever it is. You dream for you, not for other people. First step to being happy and satisfied with your life is going to be being honest with yourself. You cannot be happy and perfectly satisfied with your life if you are not honest with yourself about what you actually want. There's always going to be a disconnect. There's always going to be a feeling of a round peg in a square hole. There's always going to be something missing if you're not honest with yourself and you don't allow yourself to actually admit to what you want. I know I've been a little bit I feel like I've sounded very firm this episode, and I've sounded very much like you need to do this. But I feel like this is something that has caused me a ton of heartache, a ton of struggle, a ton of sleepless nights, and just so much worry. And I realized what it came from was a lot of this worry, a lot of this struggle, a lot of this pain came from me just not being honest with myself. And also not allowing myself to change, because there was this thing that I wanted once upon a time. Well, now we are 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and what I want is different. And I've come to realize that that's okay to change. And it's okay to evolve, and it's okay to be like, okay, maybe that's not what I want anymore. Not that it's a bad thing to want, not that it's have anything against anybody that still wants that, but maybe that's not what I want for me and my life, and that's okay. I want you to remember that you matter, okay? You matter so much, and you deserve to be happy, and you are the only one that gets to decide what that looks like in your life. You decide what happy looks like in your life. You decide what your dreams are going to be, and you decide what success looks like in relation to chasing those dreams. Remember that you matter, and what you want and what you feel matter as well. You get to decide what success looks like in your life. You get to decide. And I realize that stepping into this and not hiding from yourself and being honest and open with yourself about what you actually want is scary as hell. Okay? I realize that. I get it. I have been there. I am still pretty much there, where it's like, this is what I think I want. It's scary. It can be so scary. But you know what? You're brave. You are so brave. And you are so worth the effort it takes to be brave and to be honest with yourself. So please remember that you are amazing and you are wonderful and you are totally worth the effort. You matter. You matter, you matter, you matter. Please don't forget it. I love you. I'm rooting for you. Just remember that, yes, you are brave enough to stop hiding from yourself, to be honest about who you are and what you want. You can do that. You're amazing. I love you. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed what you've heard today, please leave a review down below and share this with anyone that you feel like could use a little more brave in their life. And if you'd like to follow more of my journey to be brave, you can follow me on social media and the link down below. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to be brave.